viewers, this week we talk about if the United States is just increasing pressure on Venezuela for better negotiations, or are the war clouds looming large in South America? We next tell you whether there's a real chance of peace in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Is the world closest to a possible peace deal? We tell you why is it that American soldiers are dying in Syria and what is it that's going wrong. We then tell you what is the big weapon that is a major boost to India's combat power. This is Faultlines. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. Let's get cracking with the first story on the show. Well, viewers, the first story this week, the growing likelihood of an all-out war in South America. The United States and Venezuela, the hostilities between the two have been escalating as the Trump administration views Venezuela as a principal actor in the non-stop inflow of drugs, fentanyl and illegal immigrants. Inside America, for Trump, stopping illegal fentanyl and illegal immigrants is priority number one, for which it is even willing to go to war with Venezuela. And there has been a sharp escalation after Donald Trump ordered a total and complete blockade, that's a naval blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela. And in fact, the country, Venezuela, termed this as warmongering threats. Donald Trump has also designated Maduro's government as a foreign terrorist organization. Now let's tell you exactly how it's looking like, and then we take the story forward. First up, now in terms of how this is looking like, is this really now edging closest to a war-like situation? US has seized oil tanker off the Venezuelan coast about on the 10th of December, and that is when there was a sharp escalation that has taken place in the conflict and in these hostilities. Maduro's government was engaged in drug smuggling and human trafficking. This is what the Donald Trump administration has quoted, saying this is why they need to act against Maduro government. Donald Trump has also said that Venezuela is now surrounded by the largest armada ever of and assembled in South America's history, essentially saying that the troop deployment is now unprecedented and Venezuela has no way out. And fresh sanctions have also been imposed on oil, which is essentially the lifeline of the Venezuelan economy, along with key Maduro aides that have now been sanctioned by the US government. It doesn't end there. There have been more action that has been taken. Now, this rapid escalation has actually taken place since September, when multiple boats off Venezuela were attacked by American authorities because they felt that these are illegal immigrants or illegal drugs that are entering the US, which is why they were attacked. And the huge troop buildup that has now happened in that area also includes USS Gerald Ford, which is the world's largest aircraft carrier. So when Donald Trump says that this is the largest ever troop deployment, he actually means that, and he's willing to go to go even higher as the attacks on Venezuelan boats continue. And 90 people till now have been killed. Now let's get in a big voice to talk more about how this is really looking like. Glenn Carl, who's a former deputy at the National Intelligence Officer for Transnational Threats, joins us on the broadcast to talk more about how this is looking like. Mr. Carl, thanks much for speaking to me on Faultlines. Let me start by asking you, what do you make of the tensions that exist right now and how sharply they've escalated between the US and Venezuela in the last couple of weeks?
Well, Maduro and Venezuela have been a problem state for the Venezuelans more than anybody, of course, for years. He's taken a vibrant democracy with a pretty successful economy 20 or 25 years ago and turned it into just a terrible place economically, socially, politically. So no one sensible really is a supporter of Maduro. However, Trump seems to have this bee in his bonnet that he is going to eliminate the regime, which is surprising, because Americans, perhaps more than others in recent years, should know that regime change is relatively easy. It's easy to break things, but that what comes after is almost impossible to. You don't build a society successfully, certainly once you've destroyed the government, and especially if you are an outsider. So it is surprising to me and to most people, but he has this objective, it seems, to change the government in Venezuela. Trump.
All right. So we told our viewers about some of the comments that Donald Trump has made in the last 1 week or so. Do you see them as warmongering, or do you see this as a real possibility of escalating into a full-fledged military conflict?
Well, I don't think that Maduro will go gently into that good night. So the likelihood of a military clash is certainly growing and high. I think it is easier to overthrow a government actually without using the military than by using one. From a number of reasons, which is not to say I'm suggesting that should happen or that it is easy. But I think there is a real chance of a clash. He has his loyalists, he has his Praetorian Guard, Maduro. So the chances are growing higher and higher. Yeah, certainly. It is a bit mysterious what it is Trump thinks that he will be accomplishing. Now, the drugs coming from Venezuela is real, fentanyl not, but other drugs. America has a broad drug problem, and that is true. I worked on that specific issue when I was still an official and partially responsible for counter-narcotics issues. So they do exploit territorial waters and the difficulty of interdicting smuggling. And to stop that is an objective and a good one. Not necessarily by using military force, which raises all sorts of issues. It is probably a war crime the way it's been done. But beyond the drug issue, and then an altruistic sympathy for the Venezuelan people, which is nice, but that shouldn't drive a policy necessarily.
All right.
It's a mystery as to what it is Trump thinks that he is really out to accomplish.
But let's talk about de-escalation. How is it that de-escalation can happen? Because as things stand right now, it's extremely volatile.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, which means that I don't know the answer to it, actually. What is Trump seeking to achieve? Is it the removal of Maduro? Well, Maduro says he won't go. Is the stop of the drug trafficking? I don't believe that the government could do that. It could do a lot better. So I don't know if there's anything that Venezuela can do, the government in place can do, to satisfy Trump. It does appear Trump has one objective, and that anything else will not be taken. Trump will not take it as sufficient. It is fuzzy what Trump seeks to be pursuing or accomplishing, except that no intermediate step other than Maduro leaving appears to be that it would be satisfactory. But it is a mystery because who would replace what would replace the government, and what would the United States do, and what is the United States actually even seeking? It is, frankly, to me, fuzzy, if not incoherent. It seems to be Trump likes to appear strong, and Venezuela is an easy target compared to China or Russia, or solving global economic growth issues or global warming, an existential problem which Trump doesn't understand and denies because he denied it once before, and so now that's all he will ever say. Venezuela is easy, quote unquote, compared to all of those things.
So what you're saying is this could actually be as much about image and PR as it is about ensuring that the problems in Venezuela are fixed. I'm going to leave it there, Glenn Carl. Thanks much for speaking to us on Faultlines. Well, if you take off your blinkers, viewers, targeting Venezuela's oil is actually going for the jugular. And Donald Trump knows that. Venezuela has the world's largest oil deposits, and its oil sector is its biggest economic driver. Add to it America's eagerness to have a regime that is more favorably disposed to it. In fact, this is a foreign policy goal that Donald Trump shares with his predecessor, Joe Biden. He had even doubled the bounty on Maduro's head. But the question is, what more can Donald Trump do after a naval blockade? And how long can Maduro withstand these pressures before his time is up? And lastly, is this as much about Donald Trump's image, PR, and zest to get the Nobel Peace Prize as it is about fixing Venezuela? Turning attention now to the other conflict that seems to be getting more and more entangled with each passing year. Yes, it's going to be 4 years in February 2026, viewers. The Russia-Ukraine war has been grinding on. President Putin has signaled no willingness to compromise on key demands in the conflict, throwing fresh uncertainty over international peace efforts. There have been multiple proposals that have been put forth. Putin is rejecting territorial concessions, insists Moscow's terms for ending the war remain unchanged, even as America and allied diplomats push for a negotiated settlement. The Kremlin stance means that the key questions actually remain unanswered. What are those? Which is, Russia still demands Ukraine seize control of key regions, that is Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and several others. The territories that Kiev and its Western allies consider sovereign Ukrainian land and what they think are non-negotiable, no-go zones. This comes amidst intense shuttle diplomacy, with the US envoys shuttling between Moscow, Kiev and European capitals in search of a deal before the end of the year. They were in Berlin and they are now going to be in Brussels as well to try and sort out maybe Russian frozen assets could really be the big deal clincher. But Putin's refusal to soften his position has stalled progress, even as Ukrainian President Zelensky explores alternative security guarantees Western leaders consider boosting support. Let's in fact tell you now in terms of more detailed updates as to how things stand, and then we get a big voice to talk more on this. First and foremost, now the major roadblocks that exist. Why is it that despite multiple offers, there have been 4 proposals that have been put forth, where things stand as far as the peace deal is concerned? Let's tell you why is it that roadblocks exist. First and foremost, key issues with regard to territory remain unresolved, which is that Russia says that I'm going to take almost all of Donbass and other regions. Ukraine has conceded, saying let's freeze the lines as they exist today, which means no more, no less. Still not good enough for Russia. Putin he wants comprehensive peace deal. He says there will be no ceasefire whatsoever. There was talk of a Christmas ceasefire. That isn't the case anymore, because Vladimir Putin feels the momentum is with him, and as things stand right now, Russia has an upper hand. They will not settle for anything that is piecemeal but more comprehensive. There are draft proposals that have been pushed forward by the US. European capitals are just playing host to multiple meetings that are taking place, even as a final breakthrough is yet to be achieved. And lastly, security guarantees are on the table. Ukraine has all along said that, look, you got to guarantee, back me up completely, and ensure that there are troops, funding, and guarantees that are enshrined by the US Congress. That's what Ukraine wants. US has moved a little forward than what it was earlier, but still the position remained different. And that is some of the reasons why there is some sort of a breakthrough that is yet to be achieved. Let's get in Alexei Mukin, who's joining us for more on this, to talk more in terms of how this is likely to pan out from here. Mr. Alexei, thanks much for speaking to me. Let me ask you, fair and square, how things stand. There have been Berlin talks. There have been talks in the past. How are things looking?
Hello. I do think that the problem is that all sides of this negotiation they hide it wishing, and of course we discussing. Of course we are on a peaceful track, but we have our own issues and our own goals, and that's why our vision is completely different. The good thing is that Russia and United States has common points for conversation, for deal, kind of a deal, because in Russia we don't like the term deal, because we say about peaceful agreement, which can resolve all problems around this conflict and reasons why it happens. So Putin is quite flexible and quite hard in their position, in his positions, and Russia positions. And Americans knows about this. That's why negotiation with Zelensky and coalition of willing is so hard to continue, because
Mr. Alexei, something that many are asking is that, is it correct to assess that as things stand, the world is probably the closest it has been to achieving some sort of a peace framework? Do you concur with that assessment?
As I correctly understood, you asked me about what kind of common points we have, or what's the problem with our points we could not accept from each other. Yes, is it right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So common points is the Russia is winning, and it's the fact. That's why United States and maybe Ukraine, some parts of Ukraine want to stop this war. They call this ceasefire. Ceasefire from the Zelensky and coalition of willing is a trick, because they just...
No, you don't want a ceasefire, that's very clear. Russia doesn't want a ceasefire, it has military momentum with it. But the question I'm asking is that, are we closest to achieving some sort of a peace framework? Or do you think that the positions are still too far apart, there is no way there can be a middle ground?
No. We are very close. We are very close to make a deal. But the problem is that coalition of willing and...
I thought you didn't like the word deal.
Zelensky personally don't want to do this. They really don't want to do this, because they completely denied many things that is principle for Russia. And United States accepted this as a principal position of Russia. And that's all. Because Zelensky and coalition of willing want to continue, not to stop, really. All of what they suggest is a trick. It's not truth. It's just a maneuver for continuing the conflict, because they hope to dig money.
All right, you didn't like the word deal, sir, but deal is what is happening. There are deal making parallelly that are taking place between US and Russia on a bunch of things. You said critical minerals, rare earth deposits, energy, all of those are likely to be part of a broader peace framework, even as those teething issues still remain. I'm going to leave it there. Mr. Alexei Mushkin joining us live from Moscow. He's the Director General of Center for Political Information. And even as, viewers, the war grinds on, if you take off your blinkers, as things stand, critics warn that Moscow's uncompromising posture could prolong the conflict indefinitely, even as allies debate whether to escalate sanctions and military aid from here on. For Kiev, the war shows little signs of ending. Millions of lives, billions of international aid hang in the balance. Message from Kremlin is clear, no compromise, even as Vladimir Putin has actually upped the ante in terms of responding to Europe. He has actually called all European leaders as little pigs. Now, this kind of commentary indicates where the negotiations are likely to go from here on. Hardening of position from Kremlin. How far away is that peace deal? Remains to be seen. All right, on that note, slipping into a very short break, we come back on the other side, tell you more about the big bump up as far as Indian assault and combat capabilities are concerned, and also more about why is it that US troops are getting killed in Syria. Stay with us. Two American soldiers and an American civilian interpreter have been killed in an ambush in central Syria in what Washington says was an attack carried out by the Islamic State group. The US Central Command confirmed that 3 other American service members were injured when a lone gunman opened fire during an engagement near Palmyra, which is a strategic city in the heart of the country. The attacker was later engaged and killed. As per US officials, and Syrian state media has reported that 2 Syrian service personnel were also wounded. Donald Trump described this assault as an ISIS attack, just days after the Al-Shara government actually celebrated 1 year of being in power. He's targeting both, and in fact, he said that the ISIS attack targeted both American and Syrian forces. The US Army identified the fallen soldiers, even as questions still remain about the security as far as the country is concerned, 1 year after Al-Shara has taken and formed the government there. It's a big boost as far as India's combat power is concerned. The Indian Army has received the remaining 3 Boeing Apache attack helicopters, which will soon join the Army's 451 Army Aviation Squadron based in Jodhpur. As per Army, the helicopters will be deployed in Jodhpur after assembly, joint inspections and completion of other formalities in the next couple of days. The helicopters were brought to India aboard an Antonov AN-124 aircraft. Why is this so significant? What this means for India's big combat arsenal, and why is it such a big deal? This report answers those questions for you.
A major milestone for India's defense readiness. The Indian Army has taken delivery of the final batch of AH-64E Apache attack helicopters, completing the induction of all 6 combat gunships under its contract with the United States. The 3 latest Apaches will soon be deployed with the 451 Army Aviation Squadron in Jodhpur, Rajasthan after final assembly, joint inspections and formalities are complete. Boeing-built Apaches are among the world's most advanced attack helicopters, often described as flying tanks thanks to their lethal mix of firepower, survivability and all-weather capability. With this final batch, the Army completes its Apache fleet and adds much-needed teeth to India's aerial combat repertoire, significantly boosting strike, reconnaissance and close support capability on the Western Front. The Apache's advanced targeting systems, Hellfire missiles, 70mm rockets and nose-mounted 30mm chain gun give Indian forces a decisive edge in neutralizing enemy armor and air defense day or night. Officials say the induction not only strengthens India's operational reach but also underscores the deepening India-US defense partnership. As these Apaches take flight over Indian skies, military planners expect a significant enhancement in quick reaction strike capability, a clear boost to national defense at a time of evolving security challenges.
Well, that's all we could pack in this edition of Faultlines. Thanks so much for watching. Next week, we come back with more conflicts, more war zones decoded for you.